Section 3 of a scientific and practical treatise on American football for schools and colleges by Henry L. Williams and Amos Alonzo Stagg. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 3. The Center Rusher. The prevailing idea in time past has been that the largest and heaviest man who could be procured should be used for the center rusher, or snapback of the 11. So universal has this idea become that it has long been a common joke to say of an especially large and stout person, "He would make a good center rusher." Every new team formed, as a rule, selects the center according to this axiomatic fallacy. It is easy to see how this principle of selection became established under the old pushing style of game, and it still should hold sway, provided it brings with the selection certain qualities of mind and certain physical capacities, which will enable the center to be one of the most active and effective agents on the field. The center occupies a unique position on the 11 in that he starts the play after each down, and is the only member of the team who cannot run with the ball from a scrimmage, because it is impossible to make him a third man advantageously. His work, therefore, is limited in that particular, by reason also of his having to protect the quarterback after he snaps the ball, and because he is invariably entangled with the opponents, it is impossible for him to become a valuable running interferer. What work in interference he is able to do is limited to blocking the opponents from breaking through the line, or running behind their own line to head off the runner with the ball at one side. Possibly, when very clever and swift, he may be able to cut across the field to interfere with the halfback or the fullback. The center should make a practice of doing this latter work on every play around the end, and on every play between the tackle and end. Perhaps he may not be able to get ahead of the runner, but he will be of valuable assistance by checking some of the opponents from running behind their line and tackling him. Now and then, also, he will be able to get ahead of the runner and go down the field with him. From these statements it might appear that it did not matter especially whether the center rusher was a slow runner or not, and that emphasis should be laid on his possessing size and weight, which are understood as necessary to the proper filling of that position. The truth is that while a slow runner, if he has cleverness for that position and is strong and weighty, will be able to do fairly well as a center, he cannot begin to be as serviceable to his team as if he were also a fast runner. Granting that a fast runner will not be able to do much interfering, or running with the ball, he will still be able to use his speed most helpfully in breaking through the line to tackle, in crossing over to one side to head off a runner, or in going down the field on a kick. Furthermore, his speed will be most helpful in playing a quick game, because he is thus able to follow the ball so closely that there will be no delay in putting it in play. This is a most important point in the center's play. He must be on hand to receive the ball the instant it is down. It is impossible to play a quick game where the center lags, or to prevent one on the part of the opponents. When there are not many large men who are fast runners, it is better, perhaps, to place the speedy man in the position of guard and take a slower man for center. The ideal center will be one who is swift of foot in addition to his other powers. He should be a large man, not a ponderous man, unless he is quick and strong. He should be especially strong in his legs and back, for he must stand steadily on his feet against the continuous pushing and wrestling which he receives, directly from the opponents, and incidentally from the guards on either side of him. If he is easily moved, or toppled over, he will be likely now and then to snap the ball poorly, thus making the quarterback uneasy and flurried in handling it. Steadiness is a most necessary part of the center's work, and it cannot well be overlooked in the selection of a man to fill that position. Further, as in every position on the 11, endurance is a prime requisite, so it is in this. More of it is needed, however, than in most others, because the work is much harder. No short-winded fat man can long stand the hard work of that position if he does his duty. Not only is great physical labor required of the center, But he must also be constantly subjected to knocks and bruises from the plunging and tearing of the rushers and halfbacks as they try to break through the line. No man, therefore, can play in this position who is not physically courageous, and who is not able to rise to his work after each assault with new grit and determination. He should be a man who is cool and collected at all times, combative, but never losing control of his temper, one who endures worrying without being rattled by it, one who never gives up and is bound to conquer. Nowhere in the line is there need for such steadiness as in the center. From him every play starts. In a scrimmage, and a little unsteadiness on his part will be likely to make havoc with the quarterback's work, and hence with the offensive play of the whole team. Nothing can be more fatal to quick and steady play, for it is sure to produce hesitancy in action in some of the players, with hurried action in others. In assuming his position for a scrimmage, the center may follow either of two methods of standing when snapping the ball. One, where one foot is placed back for a brace, the ball being snapped between the legs and a little to one side. The other, where both feet are widely spread to interfere with opponents as they attempt to break through, and to avoid getting into the way of the ball, which can be snapped straight back. Where the first position is followed, the center should be able to work equally well with either foot forward, in order to secure certain advantages in handling his opponent. The center rusher should make a study of the best way of snapping the ball back, and then hold it the same way every time. He should confer with the quarterback on this point, as the latter is to handle the ball, and it may be easier to take it when snapped in a particular way. There are two methods followed in snapping the ball. One, in which the ball is held on the small end and sent back swiftly with little effort, in such a way that the quarterback catches it in the air all ready to pass. The other, where the ball is laid on its side and rolled along the ground to the point where it is stopped by the quarterback and then picked up in a very good position for passing. This latter method is more generally used because it does not require as delicate work on the part of the center in giving the snap, but speed is sacrificed by it, and there is greater liability that the ball shall be deflected from its course by touching the legs. It would be well for the center to learn to use either hand in snapping, for it will often prove an advantage. The center rusher will do well to make a study of snapping the ball by both methods of standing, and by both ways of holding it, until he settles on the one best suited to him. He should then practice this against an opponent until he is able to stand firmly on his feet and send the ball back accurately at a uniform rate of speed each time. In case the ball is placed on end, it is better to have it lean toward the opposing center at an angle of about 60 degrees. It can be held more firmly in this position, and can also be sent back more swiftly, with a bound into the air. Care must be taken not to send the ball too swiftly. While the center is practicing to secure steadiness, accuracy, and uniformity in snapping the ball, he should likewise practice getting his opponent out of the way. In putting the ball in play, the center has the advantage of being able to select the time to snap, and he can choose it to meet his own purpose. Besides, he knows the exact instant when he intends to send the ball back, and can get the start of his opponent. The center, therefore, is master of the situation when he has the ball. It is for these reasons that he can frequently be down the field on a kick as soon as the ends, and yet not expose the fullback to great danger in having the ball stopped. There are various ways for the center to handle his man and get him out of the way. He may plunge forward at the instant he snaps the ball, carrying his opponent before him. He may lift him to one side or the other, according to the play called for and the position of the opponent. He may fall on him if he is down too low, or he may get under him and lift him in the air if his opponent reaches over him. In any one of these methods, the opportune moment must be seized like a flash, and the action be quick and powerful. A slow, strong movement will never succeed. Long and faithful practice is necessary before the center can acquire this quickness and power. In his eagerness to take advantage of his opponent, he must never fail to wait for the quarterback's signal before snapping the ball. A little forgetfulness on this point might prove disastrous. The center can be a most valuable man in defensive play if he understands his position. by giving his opponents a quick pull forward or to one side at the instant the latter snaps the ball, by lifting him suddenly backward, or by grasping his arm, the center can frequently break through more quickly than either guard or tackle. Whenever he succeeds in getting through, he will be a strong obstacle to all dashes between himself and the guards, and he will sometimes be able to interfere with the quarterback's pass. Another way in which the center may play on the defense is to spend all his energy for a moment in getting his opponent out of the way and then spring at the runner. In this case, the center must throw off his opponent quickly and not allow himself to be carried backward. At the same time, he must not attempt to break through the line. When the play is around the end, or even at the tackle, the center should move quickly from his position and pass around behind his own line to meet and tackle the runner. When the opposite side is about to kick, the center should do his utmost to break through the line and stop it, but sometimes it may be better instead to make an opening for the quarterback. He is helped in doing this by the opposite center himself, as he plunges forward to block him. In such a case, a good opening can be made for the quarterback if the center will place himself in front of his opponent a little to one side and then pull the latter forward to the right or left. The guard at the side on which the opening is made should know of this plan so that he may not spoil it, either by pushing his opponent in the path or by getting in the way himself. If there is danger of his doing this, it will be better for him to help enlarge the opening for the quarterback. On the defensive, the center may play a little to one side or the other of his opponent, or directly in front, to suit the situation. It is most unwise for the center to assume the same position every time, for by so doing he gives the opposite center only one problem to work out, and that one probably the same each time. Where the center takes an extreme side position, unless he does it just before the ball is snapped, he gives the captain of the other 11 a fine chance to call for a play which will take advantage of the situation. There is abundant opportunity for the display of headwork in outwitting the opposing center in breaking through the line. The line is so compact at this point that it is not an easy task to slip by, especially as the opposing center is watching to take his man at a disadvantage. Various methods are resorted to in breaking through the line. Sometimes the center, acting on the defense, is thrown head foremost to the ground by a quick, hard pull, the attacking center stepping aside or over him as he falls. He may also be turned sideways just enough to slip past him, or he may be lifted back, perhaps into the face of the runner. The most common method employed by the center in getting through is to catch the arm of the opponent on the side on which it is desired to go through, give it a jerk, and dash into the opening. The center in defense must insist on the ball being down where it belongs. Some center rushers have a way of moving the ball forward several inches further than it should be. There is no occasion for generosity under such circumstances, and the center must feel that it is his duty to stand up for the rights of his team by constantly guarding against any infringement of this kind. On the other hand, a constant bickering over an inch or two of ground may be made of such importance that the game is interfered with and delayed to such an extent that a much greater gain would have resulted were the ball put in play the instant the signal called for it. A good referee will see to it that the ball is snapped each time from the proper spot. It is always the duty of the center rusher to keep close to the opponent who brings the ball in from the sideline, in order to protect the rights of his team. Likewise, it is well to paste in the opponent who brings the ball to the 25-yard line, in order to prevent a quick play being made when his own side are not in position. The guards assist him in this. End of section 3.